we're just gonna kind of sink right into it. If you'll just close your eyes for a moment. Let your sitting bones settle into the mat or blanket, whatever you seem to be supported by. Check in with yourself. How do you find yourself at this particular point in your day? Checking in with all the physical from a little bit higher perspective, so that you're letting go of any judgments about it. You're just simply observing it. See yourself as the spirit that you are, having the experience of being human within the body. And then check in. How is your mind today? What is the pace and nature of your thoughts? Is there a particular, are you tending to jump ahead today? Are you tending to look at the negative today? Are you being pulled into some energy that's being kind of put into your field? That, just notice whatever it is. Maybe none of the above. And then just check in with your emotional self and see what it is that you might be holding, feeling, carrying with you. If you could give that emotion maybe a description. So language is such an interesting thing. There's a reason why when we learn how to spell words, it's called spelling. If you think about that in the context of witchcraft and all of that kind of stuff, spelling is what happens when you conjure up, so to speak. You put together a bunch of letters and then magically it creates an image of that thing just by these bits and pieces that happen to come together. So it's an interesting one to recognize the power of the words, the power of those words that we carry in our thoughts, right? Because so instantaneously we can be taken on a journey where you may be in the safety, warmth, and quiet of a room in your home, but the mind takes you someplace that feels like there's a tiger in the room with you. And the body simply responds to the spelling or the power of that thought. So as you settle into yourself tonight, just notice if there's been any spells, so to speak, that have been struck by your own mind today. And then if you will, bring your hands to prayer position. So anytime you hold intention for yourself, it's not that you're intentionally pushing away the negative, pushing it down, shoving it to the back burner. It's that you're holding the space to experience whatever is showing up with more openness, with more compassion for yourself. And then when you allow yourself to have the experience, it can move through you more fully, and then perhaps it just goes away. But the more we push it down and push it down, the more it's going to continue to pop back up and pop back up. The more we allow ourselves to have the experience and observe it and just stop and go, okay, I feel a little discomfort here or here in one of my energy fields. What's that about? What do I need to know or do in this moment? Is there something that my soul needs to get or understand? And when you ask for this assistance, then sometimes something will shift in your perspective. And in that shift of perspective, that is the definition of transmutation. That's when the energy changes and shifts, and that's where the healing occurs. And it's always, always, always in the present moment. So hold an intention to hold yourself in this deep, loving, compassionate space. And if there's nothing going on that you notice, fine, absolutely fine. Just hold yourself with a sense of gratitude for where you are. And when you feel ready, let your eyes open. Namaste. Thanks so much for coming tonight, ladies. All right. So I'd like to start on our backs tonight, and I'd like to start with a folded blanket underneath the back. So if you'll take a blanket and fold it into the long rectangular configuration, we're gonna lay over the blanket, put it horizontally across your mat. Then we're gonna lay over the blanket so that the blanket kind of fills the space between the top of the sacrum and right underneath the shoulder blades. So you can take your arms out into a T position. And with that little gentle bit of a lift, little gentle back bend, we'll do a little windshield wiping. So just take your time to find your spot there with your blanket underneath you. And just take a moment before you snap into the next activity. Simply let yourself be here. Be present. How does it feel at this point in your day just to be lying down with this bit of support under your back? Notice the quality of your breath. And then we'll keep the feet wide and drop the knees over to the right. Just let yourself be there for a moment or two, feeling all the way down the left side. How does that serve you right now? How does that feel? Turn your head to look to the left a little bit. No forcing. Just let the head drop a little bit to the left if you can, with the knees to the right. Then coming back to center with the knees and the head, and then turning the head to the right, dropping the knees to the left. Breathing fully, noticing if there's anything in your neck or your shoulders that's responding to the turn of the head. And again, not trying to force anything to happen, but simply noticing what's there. And then bringing the legs back to center, bringing the head back to center. One more time, drop the knees to the right, the head to the left, and take your right foot outside of your left leg, just above the knee. Using the foot to give yourself a little bit of pressure on the outer leg, maybe taking a little more depth in that side stretch, and breathing. And come on back to center with the legs uncross. Feet wide again, dropping the knees to the left, turning the head to the right, taking that left foot outside of the right leg, above the knee. Spreading the toes, giving that outer right leg a little bit of encouragement to move toward the floor, and just feeling into that right side, the right lower back. How does this serve you? Is it serving you? And if it's not, maybe you just do a regular windshield wiper. All right, and then go ahead and come back to center. Uncross the legs. Just take your arms up alongside of the ears, but a little bit wider, so your arms are more like in a Y shape, thumbs touching the floor. Feet are wide. Just take a moment to push sitting bones down toward the floor, exaggerating that lumbar curve. So maybe the part of your back that's touching that blanket actually kind of lifts up just a little bit on the lower edge of the fold. Now pull your low belly in and up and really let your back press down into that blanket.
So you pull the tailbone underneath yourself, and maybe the sitting bones lift up off of the floor a little bit. It's an abdominal crunch, right? There's a little bit of work there. And then release. Offer your sitting bones to the floor. And then give them a little bit more encouragement to push down. Inner thighs push down. The lower ribs lift, and you exaggerate that back bend a little bit. Push the back of the shoulder blades down into the floor. Maybe you can get a little bit lighter on the top edge of the fold of the blanket. And then just the opposite. Start to pull the low belly in and up, pressing your back into that blanket. Slowly pull the tailbone underneath yourself and press into the feet. See if you can lift the hips very, very gently up. So you're just barely lifting the sacrum off of the floor. Arms are just still out wide, thumbs are touching. And then slowly lower the hips back down. All right. So go ahead and cross your arms over your chest and just scoot your feet in so they're more at a hip distance width. And then curl up and just look at your legs. Just be in the sit up for a moment, just engaging the abdominals. Breathing. One more big round of breath, inhaling in, exhaling out, and then lower down, let your head rest on the floor. Take your arms out into just a big T position again. Now, pull your feet up off of the floor, bring the inner edges of the feet together, bring the inner knees together, pull your low belly in and up. And then drop the legs over to the left. Roll onto the left side and bring your right arm over. So you bring your hands together. You're on your left side. Legs are together, pushing the inner edges of the feet together. Now, keeping your body weight on the left side, just start to unfold that right arm again. So just take the right arm back up toward the ceiling. Opening up that twist. Take the right arm. Now, the right hand, don't try to bring it to the floor. Just let it kind of float above the floor. Integrate the right shoulder, pulling the right shoulder blade down the back. And be very mindful not to let your knees get uneven. So you're trying to keep the right knee in line with the left knee rather than letting that right knee slide back to shear the hips. Now go ahead and close that gate. Take your right arm over, right hands come together, and then prop yourself up on your left side. Come up and rest on your left forearm. You're going to take your right leg so that the right foot, I know you can't see this, the right foot is going to come to the floor just above the left knee, and then the left leg is going to straighten underneath you. And you're just propping up on the elbow here. And we're just feeling into this. Just propping up. See how that is. Getting a stretch perhaps down that left side. If it feels like it's too much, then you can bend your left leg. You don't have to have it straight if it just doesn't feel like the right call for you. Or you can reposition the right foot and leg if you need to. Just be here for a moment or two. All right, now bring the legs back down. Go ahead and lay back down on the blanket. Arms back out in your T position. Bend the knees. You're going to pick your feet back up off of the floor. Bring the inner edges of the feet together, the inner knees together. Pull the low belly in and up. Yes, we have that blanket underneath us, but we're doing that for a reason. And then pushing the legs into one another, drop the legs over to the right as you roll onto the right side. And as soon as the legs get down, bring your left arm around and forward, stack your hands. So look down at your legs, try to make sure that that left knee isn't shy of the right one. And then keep your lower body as it is, and you're going to start to open the gate again. So rolling open, the left arm comes back. Don't change the alignment of the legs and the hips. And that left arm is going to come back and just float, maybe parallel to the floor. Integrate your left shoulder. You're pulling that left shoulder blade down the back toward the spine a little bit. Just be with that. Feeling into the stretch. Maybe it's all in this left side ribs. Maybe you're feeling a nice stretch in the pectoral muscles. I certainly am. All right, and then I'm going to close the gate, bring the left arm forward and left hand to the floor. Prop yourself up on your right forearm and elbow. Your left foot's going to come to the floor just above your right knee, and then see if you can straighten that right leg. Roll the shoulders back. Just be with that. See how it is. I'm not trying to press my leg away from me. It's just a place to put my hand here. Do you feel any stretch in the right side body? Maybe, maybe not. Do you feel a stretch maybe in the hips? I don't know. You feel it where you feel it. If it's too much to be propped up on the shoulder for any reason, you could lay down on the side. All right, and then go ahead and bring the left hand to the floor, bend both knees, roll back onto your back. Keeping the blanket there, pull your knees in toward your chest. Notice how that feels, right? We're so used to doing this. We do this in classes fairly frequently, but not with a blanket under there. So keeping that little bit of a natural curve in the lumbar spine, drawing the knees in and just giving yourself a little side-to-side roll here. All right, let's set the feet down on the floor, roll to the side, and come on up to a seat for a moment. And we're going to grab a couple of blocks. So if you'll go ahead and do that, grab your blocks. We're going to move the blanket out of the way. And take your blocks, we're going to put them underneath the shoulders pretty much right away. So you're going to take your equal sign configuration with your blocks, put them horizontal to each other on your mat. And then we're going to drape ourselves over these blocks as you lay back. The edge of that first block, again, is right about the brow line. And then the other block supports your head. Now, if your shoulders are feeling particularly tight, because we haven't really done anything with them yet, and what you find is your chin is really lifted up, then you're going to take the block under your head and flip it up onto its edge so your head's up a little higher. So please choose accordingly. Arms are out in that T position. And now you have this lift up a little higher in the back. Just let yourself be here, just kind of draping over those blocks. See if you can really fully surrender yourself onto those blocks. And then do whatever you'd like to do with your legs. Maybe they just come straight down. Maybe you bring the feet into kind of a gentle Baddha Konasana shape, more of just a diamond as you get a little passive stretch for the inner thighs. We're not looking for this to be the biggest restorative pose ever. We're just trying to find a place to put the legs that feels appropriate for you and where you want to be right now. Just allowing this sense of opening up through the heart so that there's a sense of encouragement, moving up underneath the back of the heart. Couple more breaths. And then bring the knees back up, bending the legs, setting the feet at hip distance. Now, keeping the shoulders elevated, we're going to take the arms straight up toward the ceiling. Do a little bit of sleepwalker. So with the arms pointing straight up toward the ceiling, you're going to walk each shoulder blade in a little bit more toward your spine until you kind of feel like the edges of your shoulder blades are tucked underneath you, underneath your body weight. And then have your hands a little wider than your shoulders, again, more like a Y shape, and start to move your hands toward over your head with straight arms if you can. Now, don't take them all the way to the floor on the first go. Bring the arms back up. And then we'll exhale and bring the arms back down. Again, don't narrow your arms. Try to keep your arms kind of a Y shape. And then bring them back up. And let's do it a third time here. Notice what's happening in the shoulders. Do you feel the shoulder blades creeping out from getting tucked in there as the arms get further over the head? And then bring the arms back up. And let's just do a fourth time. See how it goes. And the thumbs maybe come closer to the floor. It's not a goal. It's just getting a sense of kind of opening up those shoulders a little bit. And then bring the arms back out to your sides in a T position, or even more in Shavasana position if that feels better to you. And just breathe with this. Again, just another breath or two. All right, we're going to roll to the side, find our way up to a tabletop position. So come on up to your hands and your knees. If you need any extra padding, feel free to grab that blanket. A little padding for my knees there. Okay. All right, so coming to your tabletop. Settle down through your heart first. Really settle the chest so that you can feel how the heads of the arm bones seem to be sliding back in their sockets. And when they've gone back as far as they can go, then just gently start to lift your glance forward, lift your sitting bones, exaggerate that back bend. And then exhale and do the opposite. So deeply round the back. Tuck your chin. Stay in your cat tilt and just very gently turn your head a little bit while your chin is tucked as you work a little bit into the neck. Make sure you're still breathing. And then again, settle down into your chest, coming back to your neutral tabletop position. So we're going to curl the toes under, walk the hands back, and we're going to come up to essentially a skier pose here. So just kind of roll over the toes, lift up your knees, and just come to a nice deep knee bending forward fold here. Just letting your head hang. Maybe you hold your elbows for a moment or two with those deeply bent knees. And then bringing the fingertips to the floor, we're just going to do a little isometric work with the legs. So push the right one forward, pull the left one back so you really engage those hamstrings on that left leg as you pull back. And then switch, push the left one forward, pull the right one back so you can really feel the legs kind of waking up. And then back to neutral. Push the feet out from center. Think about widening the hips as you do that. And then pull the feet in toward the midline. Without changing, really, if someone were to look at your legs right now, they'd never really know you were doing anything. Because the shins, the knees, the thighs are all staying stable. Push your feet out again away from center so that you'll feel more weight come onto the outer edges of the feet, but you feel more waking up in the hips and thighs and outer legs, and then pull your feet in towards your midline again, waking up the inner legs. And then bowing forward. If your legs feel like straightening a little bit, feel free to start to take them there. Maybe it's just a little bit. Maybe they're just slightly less bent than they were. Maybe you start to straighten them a little bit and just let yourself kind of hinge, flowing forward with the spine from the hips and the pelvis, and working the legs really gently, lovingly. All right, and then bending your knees, walk your hands forward again and come back down to tabletop. Back to your nice hands and knee position. Sink down through your chest again. Inhale, gently lift your gaze and lift your sitting bones, coming to that back bend. Stay in the back bend for a moment, but don't try to lift your head too high. Think about more trying to get the chest deeper toward the floor as you pull back in your shoulder heads. Lift up in your sitting bones and then strongly engage your lower belly. Really get your abdomen involved here in this back bend, because usually they're not in back bends. And then slow motion, reverse it. Pushing the hands down. Tucking the chin. Curl your toes under, lift your knees off of the floor like 3 inches. Push the hands forward a little bit so you can feel your heart moving back toward the knees just a tiny bit. Knees are off the floor, bearing weight on the arms. And then set your knees down and slowly find your way to an upright spine on your knees here. And let's inhale, take the arms up and overhead, bring the palms together and bend your arms, bring the elbows together, and then bring your forearms out in front of you. Pull the arms open, pull the chest forward. You'll feel the weight shift forward on your knees a little bit as you come into this little back bend, opening the door. And then close the door, tuck your chin, sit your hips back a little bit, curling the toes under just for a stretch for the feet. You're not really sitting on the heels, you're just sitting back a bit. And then come back up to vertical and release. Bring your hands into a clasp behind you. Roll your shoulder heads back as you lift up through the chest. Now start to really engage your abdomen again. So pull your low belly in and up to bring yourself back to a more upright vertical position, lifting the hands gently away from the lower back, but super engaging your abdomen. And then release the hands. Bring your hands down to the floor and walk them forward a little bit. We'll slide the left leg back.
And then spin your left heel down to the floor and angle your right foot out to the right a little bit. And then we'll take the left arm up alongside of the ear. Make sure that your supporting arm and hand are externally rotated to support you as you're supporting your weight on that one arm. Nice big breath, nice reach through the side. And release both hands to the floor, both knees to the floor. We'll go right to the other side. So lengthen that right leg back. Spin the right heel down and angle your left foot out to the left. Go ahead and open up into your side stretch here. Again, making sure that your supporting arm is externally rotated and the hand as well. So you feel you're optimally supported there. You're in your best alignment to support your weight on your left hand. Reaching for a nice big side stretch on that right side. And then spin both hands to the floor, both knees to the floor. Let's bring the right foot forward into a low lunge position. Hands are in line with your front ankle to begin here. Bring the hands up onto your front thigh. And just feel the pose. Don't try to push too hard into a stretch. Just let your body have the experience. Go ahead and twist yourself to the right. Take your left elbow to your right knee, just outside the knee. Hands to prayer as you come into a little prayer twist with the left knee down. Sliding the heart up toward the thumbs a little bit, getting a nice twist out of that. Breathing. And then release both hands down to the floor. Lift your hips and bring your right knee underneath you. Let's take that left foot forward, coming into your low lunge. Just find the shape of it first. Notice whatever you notice. Bring your hands up onto your front knee. Again, not trying to force the pose, not trying to force the stretch. Just let your body have the experience. Being upright, feeling whatever you're feeling. If you want to adjust the position so that maybe you have more distance between your front foot and your back knee, you could do that, but you certainly don't have to. Just let your body kind of feel it out. And then we'll twist to the left. Can you take your right elbow, either right on top of the knee or outside, hands to prayer, finding your prayer twist here, breathing with it. Really feels good, doesn't it? Just to kind of wring some stuff out. Use your Ujjayi breath. All right, and we'll release. Hands to the floor. Lift the hips. Bring both knees underneath you. Let's come up to downward facing dog. Make sure your hands are nice and wide on your mat, and then just feel free to give yourself some alternating heel presses. Slow motion. So there's a sense of, as you're moving through a nice, slow, deep practice like this, there's a sense of deep care and deep compassion for yourself. So you can just simply observe as you're moving, what does your body need? Is this nurturing for your body? Keep your Ujjayi breath going. Chances are there's been some good, like endorphins or something released that feels so good because your body knows this yoga, right? All of you have been doing this for so many years now
that your body's like, oh, yay, downward facing dog. I know this one. All right, go ahead and set your knees back down on the floor. Let's bring the right foot forward again, coming back to that low lunging position. Bringing the hands up onto the right thigh again. Now keep the hands on the thigh. Can you curl those left toes under and lift the left knee up and maintain your balance? Just be in the shape. If the low lunge feels like a better choice for you, set your back knee down. See how it feels to lift the back leg, push through the heel a little bit. Just breathing into that. Front leg is fairly deep, so it might feel like a lot for that back leg. You're breathing, just feeling it. Now go ahead and set your left knee down. Sweep your arms up and take a hold of your left wrist with your right hand and tip yourself to the right through your torso. Just working as deeply or not in the legs as feels appropriate to you. And then back upright with the arms. Hands to the floor, and switch sides. So bring that right knee underneath, bring the left foot forward, find your lunge for a moment, the low lunge, and then bring your hands up onto your left leg, finding a little bit more upright position in your torso, just feeling. How does that right hip and thigh respond to just simply bringing your torso more upright? And if that feels like, that's kind of enough challenge for me right now, then you stay there. If you want to challenge yourself more, you curl your right toes under and lift the right knee up. Coming into a lunge, still fairly deep in the front leg, but a nice push through that right heel. Pulling your left buttock underneath you, pulling your belly in and up. Hang out with this for a moment or two. Feel how your body's working with all the aspects of the pose, the balancing aspect of it, the work. And then set that right knee down. Take your arms up and overhead and take a hold of your right wrist with your left hand and tip yourself over to the left. Just working to whatever extent feels really good to you here. Come back upright, bring the hands down. Lift your hips and bring both knees back underneath you. We'll come back up to downward facing dog. Okay, now from downward dog, let's lift the right leg up and then set the right leg down. Lift the left leg up and then set the left leg down. We're trying to keep the leg straight here, so let's try that again. Lift the right leg. Leg is straight but turned to open. And set the right foot down. Lift the left leg. Leg turns open a little bit. Lift it and set it down. Lift the right leg again. On your exhale now, bring it forward. Find that lunge leg again. Spin the back heel down and walk your hands out to your left a little bit. And keeping that front leg in a kind of a side angle position. The arms are kind of out forward at an angle. Try to have your hands at least at your shoulder distance as you're bowing. You're inside of that front leg, but try not to let your right knee roll in, right? So your body's like at a 45-degree angle inside of that right thigh. Now walk the hands in, bend both knees, spin your feet just a little bit to the left, and walk your hands over towards your left foot. Just a little kind of a tease towards Skandasana here. If it feels like Skandasana is doable, then go ahead and pick up your right toes, supporting that inner left leg. Or you keep the foot down and you just kind of hang out with it. So choose the variation that feels most appropriate for your body. And lift it up, and we'll spin the hands and the feet back toward the top of the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. And let's lift the left leg. On your exhale, bring your left foot forward, find your lunge. Okay, spin the back foot down. Let's walk the hands about 45 degrees or so to the inside of that left leg. So out, up on the fingertips, try to keep your left leg at about a 90-degree bend. Right, so we don't have the hips lifted a whole bunch, right? You're trying to keep that left knee open, hands walking out. Working in those hips, working in those legs. And walk your hands back in toward yourself. Lift the hips a little bit. Spin your feet just a bit to your right and walk your hands over toward your right foot. Again, you could stay here and just simply work the inner thighs a little bit as is. Or if Skandasana feels like it's doable, you can pick up those left toes, supporting the opening of that inner right leg. Just breathing with that stretch. Whatever variation you have of it. Then lift it up. Walk the hands forward, spin the feet back to parallel, and step to downward facing dog. Let's set the knees down on the floor and go ahead and lower down to your belly. So let's prop up to a Sphinx position here. We've done a decent amount of back bending here, so this should probably feel, it may feel pretty comfortable. Settle down into your chest, pull back gently in your shoulders as you pull the hands and forearms isometrically back. Engage your low belly. Pull the low belly in and up. Now bend your left leg, flexing the foot. As if you've got a tray or something sitting on your left foot. Notice what that does in the lower back, and then pull your low belly and your pubis forward a little bit. And then pick up your right foot and do the same thing, both feet lifted. And then again, pull your low belly in and up. Pull back gently in your forearms and hands. Pushing the pubis down into the mat. Now, if it feels like too much back bend, take your legs back down to the floor. Now, can you keep the legs here in crocodile pose and then press into the hands and lift the elbows up a little bit? It's going to be some work for the hamstrings, and it's going to be some work for the abdomen if you're doing it. Go ahead and lower down. Bring the legs down and rest your chin on your hands for a moment. Just feel the aftermath of that pose. It's not one that we do very much. Hopefully your hamstrings didn't cramp on you. A nice lengthening of the legs here. It's going to feel pretty good after that. Now slide the hands back alongside of the chest and press up to table. Bring your right foot forward, and then right away, come right into a runner's lunge position here. So picking up those right toes, you could use blocks under your hands if you like, and then come forward. Breathing into that stretch. And be very gentle with yourself.
And then lift up the torso, keeping your legs as they are. You're going to take your weight to your left hand and turn your torso to look to the right. Roll both shoulders back and reach the right arm up toward the ceiling. And then release, bring the hands down, bend back into that right leg, and then we're going to come to sit on the right buttock and come into deer pose. So we're going to scoot this right foot over to the left, sit on your right buttock, situate your back leg so that you have a little bit, you don't have 90 degrees, you have a little bit more than a 90-degree angle between the thigh bones. Then turn yourself forward toward that front leg and come out and forward over your right thigh. Reaching that left arm forward, resting your forehead on the mat. Now, if that doesn't work, you can have your head up on a block if it feels like that's a little bit much for you. Just another breath or two here. And slowly come on up, walk your hands back in, and come back up, and find your way to tabletop, back to down dog. Lengthen that whole thing out. And then set your knees back down. Bring your left foot forward. We're going to come right into runner's lunge. So finding your way into the shape of the pose, using blocks or not, whatever works best for you. And then exhaling, coming forward toward that front leg. Try to relax your shoulders. Sometimes the shoulders want to help stretch the hamstrings. And they're probably not really able to do too much about it. So can you relax your shoulders as much as possible as you're stretching that leg? Push the left heel down into the floor so you engage the hamstring muscles, engage your thigh muscles consciously as you're doing this. There's a lot of muscular energy cooking there. And then slowly bring the torso up, keeping the legs as they are, taking the weight onto that right hand, twist and look to the left, taking the left arm up, rolling both shoulders back. Keep pushing down into that left heel isometrically so you can feel that stretch move up the outer leg or wherever you're feeling it. And then release the hands to the floor, bend into your left leg, and we're going to find our way into deer pose, sitting on the left buttock. So move your left foot over to the right, and go ahead and sit down. Situate your legs so your front leg is at a 90-degree bend. Your back leg is also at a 90-degree bend. It's just not square to the front one, so you've got a little wider angle between your thigh bones. And then turn forward toward the front leg and extend through the crown as you come forward. Walk your right hand out in front of you and see if you can drape yourself over your thigh. Breathing into the stretch, whatever it's providing for you. Big, full, deep breathing.
All right, then we'll slide the hands back in, bring your torso back upright. Great, we're gonna swing the back leg around. We're gonna have a seat on a blanket, so please have a folded blanket or something to elevate your hips. I'll turn to face you here. And we're gonna take Baddha Konasana. So you can bring the soles of the feet together. See if you can bring the heels in a little bit closer to your groins. You can, wherever it feels best for you. If you don't like the deeper bend of the knees, feet can be further forward. Now just give yourself a little adjustment so that you rotate the inner thigh down and pull the buttocks flesh up and out behind you. Let's do the same thing on each side. There we go. And then bringing the hands to the ankles, just push the feet into one another, broaden the toes away from one another, and then sit up nice and tall in your spine. So just have this sense of all of those beautiful natural curves of the spine working together to create the architecture of your body. Just sit tall and breathe, pushing the feet into one another. Maybe the thighs work toward the floor a little bit, maybe they don't. And perhaps if you're feeling very comfortable in the upright position of the spine, maybe you can come forward a bit. See if you can come forward with the longest spine possible. Just take a moment, hang out in wherever it is that you landed as you considered this. Feet are still active. Is it possible to come a little further forward, but it's not something that you try to do because your ego says, oh, I need to do this. It's something that you do because it just feels like you would like more stretch, like your body's asking for it, not your mind or your ego. And then slowly come on up. Just bring the knees in, bringing the knees together for a moment. Just kind of sit up tall, hugging the legs, nice tall spine. Now we're going to do just the opposite. So rather than having the knees out wide, we're going to have the knees narrow and the feet out wide to come into Gomukhasana legs. So I'm just going to stay right here and walk my left foot over to the right and cross my right knee tightly over my left. So if you lean back a little bit, you can kind of get into it. And then that way your shins, as you look down at your legs, are kind of at, maybe a 90-degree angle, right, from one another. Kind of karate chop the pinky toe edges of the feet down into the floor. And then just check for a moment to see that the weight is distributed pretty evenly in the sitting bones. It may be, it may not be. So if you are with that leg crossed over, if all the weight is over on your left sitting bone, lean to the right and take your left hand underneath your left buttock and widen it out to the left a little bit and see if you can kind of even that up. And then sitting nice and tall with the legs in this configuration, keep the edges of the feet really active. So you're trying to press that outer pinky toe edge down. And then come forward again with that long spine, bringing your chest maybe to drape over that thigh or not. You can do whatever you like with your arms. And just breathe here for a couple rounds of breath. Nice, deep, slow breathing. All right, and then we'll slowly come back up.
Lean back so you can uncross the legs and then try the other way. Crossing the knees tightly over, setting yourself up, making any little adjustments or major adjustments that feel like they need to be made. Notice how the weight is being distributed in the sitting bones. If it's all over on the right side, lean to the left, reach underneath your right buttock and pull it out to the right, and see if you can get a little bit more even there on your weight distribution. And then with a nice tall spine, come forward. Just let your chest drape. It's almost like you're pretending you have like a broomstick or a dowel rod up in your hip creases, and your spine is reaching way out and forward because that's pressing back. And then you drape over the legs from there. Just breathe for several rounds of breath on this side. Big inhales and exhales as you feel into the stretch being provided to you. All right. And then slowly bring yourself back up to your seat. And we'll lean back and uncross the legs. Now we're going to take the legs out into Upavishta Konasana. So taking your legs into a nice wide V. Feels kind of nice just to not have that deep bend in the legs. And then with the legs out nice and wide, let's lean to the right. Just set the forearm on the thigh. Reach that left arm up. Just feeling whatever stretch is available on the side there. And then turn your body toward that right leg. Bring the left hand over, and maybe you take the left hand to the floor inside the leg. You take a hold of the ankle, or you can reach the ball of the foot with your left hand. Walk your right hand out a little bit to the side and push the right hand isometrically forward to start to twist yourself a little bit to look to the right. And then come forward toward the inner right leg as you're looking to the right. I'm just working with whatever stretches are showing up here. And then slowly find your way back upright. And we'll go to the other side. So slide that left forearm down onto the left shin. Just hold the foot gently. Turn yourself open and take your right arm up. Just be with that for a moment or two. Notice where you are feeling a stretch. This isn't meant to be the most intense variation of this. Just feel it. But most importantly, make sure that your left or your right sitting bone is just as heavy on the floor as the left one. It may be a challenge to get that down. You might have to kind of root yourself a little bit more on that right side. And then turn your body to look down towards your left leg as you reach your right hand forward, taking the hand either to the floor, up to the ankle, or to the ball of the foot, whichever feels like the best place for you. Then the left hand moves out to the left. Push the left hand isometrically to the left to lengthen out your left side first, and then turn to look to the left as you come forward toward the leg. And just breathe with whatever stretch is showing up for you. I'm getting actually quite the calf stretch here as I kind of pull back on my big toe mound. Big stretch in my right under my right shoulder blade. Yes, of course, hamstrings. All right, and then we'll release and come back upright. Just sit with a tall spine, keeping your legs in Upavishta for a moment or two. Feeling the sense of height all the way up through the crown as your sitting bones are nicely grounded. Great, so let's just go ahead and come to a comfortable cross-legged position if such a thing exists for you. And we're going to do a little bit of breath work here. So before we do any breath work, just close your eyes, check in with yourself. It's always valuable to just check in and see what's going on. It's such good practice to bring us into our heart center, which can only be accessed in the present moment. When we're dwelling in the past or projecting into the future, we can't be in the heart center. When you're present, then you're in the heart center. So just be here with yourself, observing, loving yourself, being compassionate. All right, so now we're going to do a little bit of breath of fire, because fire is the tool of transformation. And so we're going to breathe very quickly in and out through the nose. And let's put the right hand on the heart and bring the left arm behind you. So the back of the left hand is coming up toward the bra line, or maybe up higher if possible, rolling that left shoulder head back. If it's possible for you to sit like this with any comfort, if there's something about having the arm behind you because you've got a shoulder thing going on, don't even bother to try to keep it there, right? You can have your hands just on your thighs if you like. But with the hands in this position, just take a moment to imagine that you're creating an energetic connection between your hands. Even though the hand behind you is facing backward, imagine that there is energy connecting from the inside of your front palm to the back hand as it travels through your physical body, through your heart, to the upper kidneys in the back. And just breathe into that area between your hands. Is there any message that seems to be coming through for you right now as you focus your attention in this present moment, sending all of this healing energy right through your heart center? And with the intention of releasing any energy that is no longer serving you. Remember, that is a very, very, very key thing. We want to move them through if they are not serving us. Sometimes they are, and we're not really even aware of how they are. Maybe it's just something we're not ready to be fully moving through. It's something we have to sit with, right? So just let yourself be, and we're going to do a little breath of fire between the hands and into the heart center, so that if there are energies ready to move along, they can be transmuted in the breath of fire. So here we go. All right, and release. Just let both hands rest on your knees or your thighs and breathe very fully, deeply, and evenly. All right, let's go ahead and switch. Left hand on the heart, right hand comes back behind you. Roll the head of the right arm bone back a little bit and picture an energetic connection being made between your left and right hands. And see that energy moving right through the heart into the upper kidneys in the back. Just take a moment. Notice if any message is coming through for you here. And with the intention of clearing what no longer serves, a little breath of fire, here we go. And release. Again, big, full, deep inhales and exhales for several rounds. All right. And let's release all of the pranayama breath and find your way to your back for a brief shavasana. Just so we can have a few minutes where there's no effort, absolutely none. And then just please take your time to gently find your way back to your seat. Once you find your seat, if you'll bring your hands back to Anjali Mudra. I don't know about you, but that Shavasana went really quick to me. So I send so much deep love and gratitude to all of my teachers. So grateful to be here with all of you tonight. So lovely. Thank you so much. Om Shanti. Namaste.